Hello everyone, and welcome to my The Bold Fans channel. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Before we begin, please hit the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. The upcoming Finn twist in Bold and Beautiful might make fans grateful for Miss Dillon. Fans may become even more ardent supporters of Miss Dillon, as a result of Bold and Beautiful's hint of a twist involving Finn that would directly affect her. The mousy art school teacher was firmly put on notice following last week's infamous teriyaki chicken scandal, in which Dillon and Will had an unsupervised supper while Elektra was working late. Even though they live on the same property, she must never again be in Will's company by herself. Some fans were offended by Elektra's over-the-top response, which looked to be projecting all of her issues onto Dillon instead of discussing them with her partner. On Reddit, Mars24 responded saying, "I have an issue with the stay away from my man shtick." Sensitive Promise Zero went straight to the point saying, "I'm rooting for Dillon to seduce Will away from Elektra as that brat has rubbed me the wrong way. If our suspicions are right, more Bold and Beautiful fans will join Team Dillon." However, how does it relate to Finn? We'll let you know though. According to spoilers for Bold and Beautiful, Finn unintentionally brings Will and Dillon together. Given that Elektra will be traveling out of town for work, this is definitely a massive no-no. We're not sure how Dr. Finn will organize the gathering, but since Steffi won't be there and Dillon taught Hayes art, it's not out of the question that Finn would ask her for assistance if the child needs to be taken to the hospital. The teaser would make sense if he asked Will and her to monitor the boy. But after Finn gets them there, Dillon mysteriously finds that performing a grand jeté on Will's lap while wearing a ballet costume. Expanding on our earlier hypothesis and hazarding a guess, Dillon might have been rehearsing in her room when she was asked to assist. She ends up doing a little dance for Hayes and Will, unintentionally stumbling and falling onto the forbidden fruit Spencer. But for fans of Bold and Beautiful, what comes next could make all the difference. According to spoilers, Ivy will emerge at the perfect time to capture Will and Dillon in what looks to be a precarious situation. The Thunder from Down Under will try to chase poor down on her luck Dillon out of town right away, without waiting for Elektra's opinion. Now, if Dillon were doing this on purpose, viewers could be co-signing Ivy's eviction notice, but if it's just a misunderstanding, the entire situation turns into a case of two wealthy Forrester women bullying a meek young lady who has neither a job nor a place to live. It's not a good look, and it's probably going to make some people angry. They might even start grandly supporting Dillon. I will fully honor your desires, and just for good measure a couple surprises. To start, Brooke is still thrilled about her son RJ's return. She says, "Well, this is a familiar sight," as she notices the young man returning inside after swimming. "It's like you never left." Brooke should definitely savor these good times while they last, since trouble will undoubtedly arise now that RJ has returned home. Crossing the line when Elektra finds out that Steffi is going with her on a business trip for Forrester Creations, she is pleasantly surprised. "Are you visiting San Francisco?" she inquires. A brief glimpse shows guest stars Morgan Fairchild and Jim J. Bullock admiring a piece of jewelry, probably from the Forrester collection that Elektra and Steffi are planning to sell. Steffi smiles and says, "Change of plans." Thanks to Deacon's therapy sessions with Taylor, where the therapist persuaded him to work on his marriage, Sheila still feels that everything between them is back on track. Sheila puts her arm around her husband's shoulder and cuddles up to him, saying, "We are so incredibly blessed to have her." However, there is also a sight of Deacon and Taylor kissing. Are they finally taking action in real life? Or is this simply another fantasy? It makes sense that Elektra is worried about allowing Dillon to grow too close to Will, after everything that transpired with Luna, especially since she will be traveling for a few days on business. Dillon assures her buddy, "I will absolutely respect your wishes." However, we see her staring at Will without a shirt before they sit near to each other on the couch and spend some time together. The situation is further complicated by the fact that Ivy, who was meant to accompany her niece on that business trip, was outside when Dillon approached Will and was startled. This might become messy. Is Deacon from the Bold and the Beautiful engaging in risky behavior with Sheila? Deacon's marriage to Sheila and his developing affections for Taylor have taken center stage on the Bold and the Beautiful. After beginning therapy with the excellent doctor, Deacon made amends with Sheila, but as his sessions with Taylor expanded, so did their bond. The main reason Deacon hasn't given in to the temptation is Sheila's possible violent response, even though his kids have been pleading with him to leave Sheila for Taylor. But the longer Sheila goes without a major catastrophe, one question starts to emerge. Is Deacon making a prophecy that will come to pass? On the bold and the beautiful, Deacon instills his anxiety. It is reasonable to assume that Sheila would return to her previous behavior and wreak havoc on the lives of those who have deceived her. To be honest, even though she can be brutal, would that be the most unreasonable thing to do? Sheila has put in a lot of effort to show Deacon, Taylor, and both of Deacon's kids that she has changed, but no one has taken her seriously. Even though she is making an effort to improve herself, they still call her names and keep her out of important family gatherings. If Sheila finds out the truth about what's going on in the therapy sessions, Deacon fears what she could do. Hope and Deke are desperate for their father to dissolve his marriage, but Steffi has made it quite clear where she stands on the issue. If Taylor is separated from Sheila, they are prepared to use him as collateral damage. Explaining to Sheila that things aren't working out and having the guts to tell her directly that it's over would be the adult thing to do in this circumstance. One guaranteed method to create the very monster Deacon fears most is to have an affair behind Sheila's back. Sheila's previous instability is undeniable. Additionally, she ought not to have concealed the Luna from her spouse. She is by no means the only individual in Los Angeles who concealed the truth about Luna, though. No matter how sincere Sheila's adjustments are, people won't accept her since she is held to an unattainable standard. Ivy is aware that Elektra will be fixated until she returns. Ivy may remain silent about this for the time being, but not indefinitely. Deacon Sharp's bold move according to spoilers for the week of January 26th on the bold and the beautiful, Deacon feels conflicted. Sheila Carter Sharp and the man are back together, but Taylor is still on his mind. Deacon takes a risk after receiving support from Hope Logan Spencer. Taylor's face will be cupped in the man's hands. Deacon unexpectedly plants a kiss on her as she looks at him like a deer in the headlight. Taylor was also asked out on a date by Deacon. I have to wonder what justification Deacon will offer if he needs to go have a private supper with Taylor. Everyone will probably work to prevent Sheila from learning the truth. But in soap operas, secrets were never permanently hidden. Will Sheila truly go after Taylor once she finds out? Or has Sheila changed to the point where she reacts in an entirely unexpected way? Why Taylor going missing makes perfect narrative since Taylor's disappearance is practically inevitable from the perspective of soap opera creation. The cleanest escalation is this one. It produces a mystery, an antagonistic storyline, a plot of rescue, a campaign by Steffi, a spiral of Deacon guilt, a relapse of Sheila, a crisis for the entire family, and above all, Sheila is once again cast in her iconic role as the one that everyone fears but who cannot be proven guilty. The text message cover-up theory is terrifyingly plausible. One of the most terrifying theories circulating among spoiler circles is that Sheila abducts Taylor without telling anyone. Rather, she steals Taylor's phone, sends regular serene texts. Taylor needs space, says she went away to think, and assures her family that she is safe, establishes a virtual alibi, and only Steffi is able to see right through it. Steffi is the only one who senses it. The emotional tone is incorrect, but only Steffi is aware of it. Because Steffi is aware of more than simply Sheila's past. She is aware of her strategies. She is aware that Sheila no longer blows up right away. She is aware of Sheila's ability to conceal herself. And for that reason, this Sheila is more dangerous than before. What's the scariest thing about this evolved Sheila instead of the old one? Sheila is no longer impetuous. She is a strategic person. She has patience. She is in control. Now she's the first to smile. She holds out. She watches. She gathers data. She permits self-exposure. She then makes a move. This implies that it won't be a mess if Taylor vanishes. It's going to be surgical. Not a single witness. No conflict. Not a dramatic scenario. Just not there. And that is much more frightening. When Taylor disappears, Steffi will go into full detective mode. Not into a daughter in mourning. Transformed into a hunter. She will go over each discussion again. Go over each text again. Rebuild each timeline. Question Deacon. Finn put pressure on him. Observe Sheila's actions. Examine your emotional tendencies. Prioritize intuition above reason. Because Steffi is the only one who knows that Sheila doesn't act irrationally. She takes deliberate revenge. Additionally, Taylor perfectly matches the psychological profile of someone Sheila would need to remove in order to bring her environment back into balance. Deacon believes the threat is fictitious, but he will discover too late that he lit the fuse. Despite his repeated statements that Sheila would go crazy, Sheila might snap, and Sheila could do something, he continues to interact with her. Nevertheless, he continues to fantasize. Nevertheless, he continues to foster the emotional connection. And when Taylor vanishes, Deacon will finally realize that there was no danger at that point. This served as a catalyst. He will also have to deal with the fact that he deceived his wife emotionally. He went too far with his therapist. He promoted emotions. He didn't turn it off. He was aware of Sheila's past. Still, he did it. Deacon will never be able to heal emotionally if Taylor is harmed, because he will be aware that it was made possible by his indecision. Why old-school Sheila fans are ready, let's face it. Nobody genuinely thinks Sheila has changed. Not the viewers. Not Steffi. Not Finn. Not Deacon. Not even Sheila. She has been restrained, not healed. And Gun Sheila is precisely the kind of emotional humiliation that has historically been brought out by the take on treachery. Take Sheila hostage. Sheila poison her. Sheila manipulation. Sheila exact revenge. The Sheila who doesn't cry. She does calculations. The aspect that no one wants to speak out is that if Taylor disappears, the audience won't view her as an innocent victim. Taylor's disappearance would be her own moral reckoning. She will be perceived by them as having violated professional ethics, entered a tumultuous marriage, disregarded Sheila's past for decades, believed she was above the consequences and could handle it. This won't seem like a chance disaster. Fallout will seem inevitable. Not because Taylor is deserving of injury, but because she set the stage for peril. The worst part is that Sheila would feel justified, which is the real horror. Sheila believes that she won't consider herself to be wicked if she abducts Taylor. She will perceive herself as preserving her union, taking out a manipulator, preventing a betrayal, regaining equilibrium, taking back her life. She will sincerely think that she has been wronged. Because of this, she is far more deadly than a villain who is aware of her wrongdoing. Final prediction. This ends in a rescue but not a reset if the plot goes as planned. Taylor and Deacon are likely to cross the line. Sheila learns of it. Sheila remains too composed. Taylor disappears. Fake texts are sent by Sheila. Steffi feels that something is off. Deacon falls into guilt. Finn gets pushed into the center. Steffi discovers the reality. Taylor is saved. Sheila is vulnerable. However, Taylor's reputation is ruined. Deacon is no longer married. Sheila will never again wear a mask. And nothing returns to how it was. Because the illusion that this was merely a love triangle will vanish as soon as Taylor vanishes, even for a short while. This will be remembered as the point at which Taylor ceased to be a therapist and became a victim of her own decisions. Sheila too? She won't simply relapse. She will remind everyone that she is the most feared woman in Los Angeles because she understands when to strike, not because she is insane. Spoilers for The Bold and the Beautiful. Will Hope Logan's career ultimately ruin her marriage to Liam? And is her time at Forrester Creations officially coming to an end? Spoilers for The Bold and the Beautiful are subtly but clearly pointing to a major change in Hope Logan's career. And this time it might not be another brief setback, makeover, or cancellation. Feels permanent this time. It has a structural feel. Key takeaways. Victoria reminds everyone why she is a Newman force, while GH and YNR provide shock value as Willow makes her most brutal move to date. BTG sparks heat with Shanice standing firm against Leslie, and Danny making a questionable choice with Bill. With memorable moments and annoying story beats, Days and BNB divided the audience. The top 5 hits 5. Brady receives some candor from Dr. Gregory. The one-on-one discussion between Dr. Gregory of Bayview and Brady was both fascinating and much needed. Rachel was discovered dozing off in Sophia's bed in order to slip out. Dr. Gregory informed Brady that his daughter needed boundaries and constraints, particularly with regard to his romantic life at the library. It is up to Brady and Kristen to reassure Rachel that they are no longer together in a way that will prevent her from unavoidably taking revenge and trying to murder or abduct someone. Additionally, it's fantastic to see Kim Hawthorne from Greenleaf play Dr. Gregory. 4. Hope and Steffi quarrel over something other than the same man. It was interesting to watch Steffi and Hope argue about their parents' possible romance rather than Liam. Both of them have good points. When Sheila learns that Deacon and Taylor are attracted to one another, Steffi knows what will happen. She might very easily use her cunning, and insane abilities to destroy her rivals. Hope, meanwhile, only wants her father to stop seeing a lady who has harmed a lot of people in the past. 3rd. Shanice refuses to give up on Leslie. When it comes to her Teddy, Leslie is incredibly possessive. She jumps at the first sign of someone sniffing at him and tells them to back off. Eva immediately went to the hospital to face Shanice after telling Leslie that Ted was dating. Shanice didn't back down and gave it her all, as was to be expected. Leslie won't be deterred by it at all. Despite witnessing Marcel Malone, the lady will still pursue her. I hope Shanice is vigilant and prepared. 2. The Newman MVP is Victoria. This week Victoria was excellent. She joined forces with Adam in an attempt to stop this devastating AI superweapon from destroying Newman Enterprises. Billy tried to show empathy for what was happening at Newman, but she didn't have time for him. For the most part, though, her confrontation of Kane and Phyllis was epic. She told Charlie and Lily over the phone what Kane had done. That was a brutal action. Don't tamper with Victoria. We forget that sometimes. First, soon after the verdict of not guilty, Willow sandbags Drew. When Willow celebrated her not guilty judgment, everything came together for her. Nina and Chase were also swiftly eliminated by Drew. After allowing Scout to visit her grandmother, Willow left her and Drew by themselves. When the time was right, she injected him with a mixture that resulted in a major stroke after saying all the appropriate things. Whoa, this was an extremely barbaric move. She cleaned up her Drew mess right away. We were aware of her dislike for him. However, it was unusual to get rid of him right away when the trial was over. The top 5 misses 5. Peter August makes a return. Even after being plagued by Faison's voice, Anna's hallucination of Peter was somewhat unexpected. We adore how the show caught us off guard. The fact that the figure passed away a few years ago is irrelevant, though. This sighting seems premature. 4. Danny gives Bill a kiss. We understand that Danny and Bill are still in touch. For many years they were wed. Their 2 girls are now adults. However, it wasn't in our bingo card that Danny would be the one to lean in and kiss Bill. Not when her marriage is fulfilling. Will she even admit her relapse to Andre? 3rd. Electra's response to Will and Dylan dining together. It is obvious that Electra must cope with the trauma caused by Remy and Luna during their terror reigns. Additionally, Dylan is giving us a strong sense of being a single white woman. However, Electra's reaction to Dylan consuming Electra's chicken teriyaki meal with Will was excessive. Right now, she's the one with Luna vibes. 2. The consequences of the custody mediation hearing. The mediation should never have happened. Chad has not displayed any signs of abuse or neglect. It was also annoying how Jennifer and Jack handled Chad and Kat's relationship. It was also annoying that the judge took it so seriously. Thomas running out into traffic was awful, but Chad simply ran into Kat that day in Horton Town Square. We understand that trust is crucial, but in this case Chad is the parent. Rather, Thomas set the restrictions and limits. It was difficult to see the hearing and the repercussions. First, what happens to Matt Clark is up to Victor. Victor's adversary is not Matt Clark. Sharon and Nick are. But Nick wasn't quite up to the task of dealing with his opponent because of his discomfort and irritability. Victor ought to have imprisoned Jordan in his covert Newman Ranch jail until Nick was prepared to handle Matt. Alternatively, he could have been kept on ice by the Abbotts. Matt shouldn't be in Victor's care at all. Honorable brings up B&B Hit. Will advises RJ not to follow in their father's footsteps. Will and RJ will undoubtedly become just like their fathers. Seems inevitable. For now though, it's fantastic that kids understand how crazy their father's rivalry is. Additionally, an effort is made to avoid becoming like them. BTG Miss. Ashley's mother doesn't think much of her daughter. Jan is aware that her daughter is an adult working woman. Why she believes Ashley shouldn't be in a romantic relationship at this time is unclear. Indeed, she had a rocky connection with both Derek and Andre. However, Ashley has the right to move on with Grayson. Trey's christening is a missed day. The fact that Johnny and Chanel managed to organize Trey's christening at the last minute was fantastic. Regretfully, no members of Johnny's family were there. It appears that Marlena and Belle visited Chicago for the day. For this, Marlena would have raced back to Salem. Hit Emma's concern for Anna. It's time that someone took action over Anna's months-long absence. She hasn't really been in touch with anyone either. Just a text message here and a voicemail there. Both Emma's concern and Joe's encouragement are encouraging. But we're not sure if we can rely on Nathan to find her. Why in our miss? Mariah is obsessed with Dominic. In a hotel room, Mariah is conversing with herself, or perhaps more accurately, Ian Ward. Additionally, she has plans involving Abby and Devin's son, Dominic, the kid she gave birth to, despite having a daughter in Genoa City. How did Dominic enter into the picture? We don't understand.
Thanks for watching. If you like this video, so please don't forget to subscribe my channel and don't miss any update.